All right. Good morning. Good morning. Let's get started. Okay. So, all right. So I can see your amazing smiles. Since we agreed we're going to smile this morning, Isaiah, that's what we've decided to do. We're going to have a fantastic day, right?
Yes.
Okay. A few of us, at least, are going to. Some of us aren't responding. So we're going to have a great day, right? Okay. It's so interesting because the energy here, I mean, I see people who are excited to the extent that they're here, but your energy level seems like it's about a 7. Which a 7 out of 10 is like a C minus. Anybody want to get a C minus for attitude today? Okay, so show us your smiles. All right. And when I ask questions or make statements, I mean, give me an answer or give me at least an amen, something to let me know that you're alive. Fair enough. And if you get really good at this, we can start our own church and gosh, who knows where that will go. So, all right. So I wrote this down. I just want you to listen to this. Procrastination pays in the moment, but discipline pays in the future. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you know what it is you're supposed to do, but you procrastinate that, and that procrastination allows you to, for example, go to the beach for the day, well, procrastination paid, didn't it? You had things that you were supposed to do, but instead of doing those things, you decided to take a powder and go to the beach. And for the day, it paid, didn't it? Because who doesn't want to go to the beach? Say aye. The beach is a fun thing to do, right? But discipline, if you do what you're supposed to do today and the next day and the next day consistently, it doesn't give you a day at the beach. It allows you to buy the beach, to own the beach. And who would, given the choice between a day at the beach or owning the beach, which would you take? Owning the beach, right? So I just want you to think about that. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down your primary number one goal in the business this year in 2022. Write it down. What's your primary goal? Can you repeat the first part, procrastination? Yeah, procrastination pays off in the moment, but discipline pays off in the future. And the great thing about discipline is that it's a residual payoff. It pays off again and again and again. Procrastination pays off how many times? Just once in the moment. When you decide not to prospect, for example, it pays off in the moment. At least you avoid the fear of prospecting. And if you replace that activity with something that you enjoy, then at least you get to enjoy that thing in replacement of the prospect. So it does pay off in the short term. The problem is it's not a long-term plan, at least not an effective one, right? Make sense? So did you all write down your number one goal for 2022 in real estate?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want you to think about that. With a lack of discipline, will you be able to achieve that goal? So my question for you is, how are you going to remain disciplined? I want you to think about your number one challenge last year in 2021 in the business. And if you weren't in the business or weren't in it long enough to really answer that question, then what was your number one challenge as a human being to achieve whatever goal it is that you had in life? What was your number one challenge? What was it that got in the way? Okay. Discipline. Okay. I like the raw honesty, discipline. Anybody else? No. Okay, health. Okay, and fair enough, because sometimes there are things that happen to us in terms of health that we don't get to control, right? Although there are things that you do get to control, and if you take care of those things, then your health has a tendency to improve. And you've had that experience, right? When you lose weight, you feel better, you look better, right? But it
goes to state of mind, all of it.
Okay. It does, yes. And ultimately, though, I've given you the hint, though. What if you think about it? Whether it's your health, your state of mind, I can't remember what the other answer was. There was another one, and then there was discipline. All of those answers, with the exception of discipline, are affected positively or negatively by the amount of what? Discipline. You want better health? Have more what? Discipline. You want to have a better mindset? Have more what? Discipline. Yeah. You want to have more money? Discipline. Have more what? Whatever the answer is, have more what? Discipline. Does that make sense? Yeah. Now, logically, we get this. We do. It's like, okay, John, I get this. So, well, the issue is that we have got to be better on a daily basis of being more what? So the question is, how do we do that? How do you do that? How do you increase your discipline? How do you maintain your discipline? And here's what I always say. Here's the cool news about the universe. If you will do what you need to do to achieve any goal, if you do it just to a level of 80%, for example, if you're on a nutrition plan and you stick to that nutrition plan 80% of the time, in other words, out of a 7-day period, what's 80% of 7 days? 5.5 days. That means for the remainder of the week, if you were off the wagon, so to speak, you would still hit amazing goals. That's why a lot of people, Nakame reminded me of this a few months ago. We were at the summit and we had that amazing spread. And if you remember all that great dessert, and I think it was carrot cake. Was it carrot cake? Amazing carrot cake. I love carrot cake. I have not forgotten this. And I looked at her, I said, I am not doing that. And she looked at me and she said, you work out enough, you're disciplined enough that your body would what? Yeah, she said it would process it, no problem. And I thought, you know what? She's right. I'm going to have some damn carrot cake, right? Because I'm disciplined enough that I know that I can still cheat at times. How many want to have everything you want and still cheat at times? Well, then perform at a level of 80%. But how do you do it to 80%? Here's what I know. If you prospected 4 out of 5 times, in other words, 4 days out of the 5 days of the work week, you would still hit your goal. Guaranteed you would, if you were that consistent, because what you would build is momentum. It's like the good book says, you will reap more than you what? Than you sow. That really is the law of the universe. It's the very reason that you will invest your money in things and expect more than what you what? Than you invested. People do it all the time. So it's not like this is a foreign concept or that it doesn't happen. You can invest a certain amount and expect to get a greater amount back, as long as you're what? Discipline. So how do you build and maintain your discipline? Thoughts? How do you do it?
First you decide.
Better habits.
Okay, habits.
First you decide.
You decide, okay. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to hold off because you said something really important. Practice, okay. All great answers. Anyone else? Habits. Have to do it. Okay, so decide, just do it. Monica, say what you said again. Accountability. I want you to write down accountability. There are 3 things in specific that I know that if we do these things, our level of discipline will go up exponentially. So Monica said accountability. What about this? I've always said this. People of passion are always going to be more successful. They're going to be more disciplined. When you are more passionate, what happens to your level of discipline? Discipline is go up or go down, right? So the second answer would be what? If the first answer is accountability, what's the second answer to increase your discipline? Being more clear about your purpose. What's your purpose? What's your passion? What's your why? Why are you showing up every day? Is it just to pay some bills? That doesn't sound very exciting to me. I mean, really, seriously, think about that. How many people in this world, in this country, this amazing country that we're in that has abundance of opportunity, the richest nation to ever exist on this planet, and there are people who are just simply getting by. Focus every day on just making enough money so that they can make the house payment, the car payment, or not even the house payment, just pay rent and groceries. In other words, they're in what mode? Survival mode, not in what mode? Thriving mode. People who are not clear about why they're here on this planet, what their purpose, their passion is all about, those people are always going to be in survival mode. But the people who are passionate, and you know who they are, you can see them, we see them in the world. Is Elon Musk, is he a person who is in survival mode or thriving mode? Right. Is he passionate or dispassionate? Passionate. The guy is so passionate that he talks about every issue that he's passionate about. Oftentimes he gets himself in trouble, right? He gets criticized a lot. Does he care? No. Do you think he cares? No. If you were worth $300 billion, do you really care what other people think? Really don't, do you? The guy is so damn passionate that it doesn't matter what he touches, it seems to turn to gold. I mean, here's a guy who had the audacity to start an electric car company. And GM and Ford and Chrysler had been trying this stuff for years. And he said, well, I'm going to do it. And then a year after that, then he starts or maybe in reverse, a rocket company. Yeah, SpaceX. So he invents this electric car. He creates the infrastructure for it so that you can drive around the country and not run out of the battery fuel, right? You can find all these outlets, plug your car in. He created that infrastructure. The government didn't do that. He did that. And then he had the audacity to take that car of his and put it on the tip of a rocket and shoot it out into space, just to show what was possible. Because the guy is highly what? He's passionate. And because he's highly passionate, he's very disciplined. And when you're disciplined, look at what you can create. So accountability, number 1. Number 2, understanding your purpose, passion, your why. Staying connected so that you're a person of passion, a person who's focused on thriving and not what?
Surviving.
Surviving. And the third answer, write this down, willpower. 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 I liken willpower to physical strength. If I'm holding a 25-pound dumbbell, I can hold it out like this. Now, the question is what? How long? Can I do it forever? I can't, can I? So what we know about willpower is that it's what?
Temporary.
It's temporary. What about motivation? Isn't that what we're talking about when we talk about purpose, passion, and why? Say it, Nachme, what is it?
Temporary.
It's temporary. And she said that was a mouthful. And she said a mouthful. It is temporary. And you know that by personal experience. Aren't there some days where you hear a great message and you walk out from that message or hearing it, or some great thing happens in your life, you go, man, I'm ready to conquer the world. And then in the afternoon of the next day, it's like back to what? Back to normal. If that's true, say I, right? In other words, motivation is also what? It's temporary. But you know which one has the capacity to not be temporary? Say it out loud, Monica.
Accountability.
Accountability. That's the one that will keep giving and giving and giving and giving, that will always be there. It's the very reason that when you and I have conversations, the number one thing that you said that I can help you with is your what?
My health.
Yes, but how? In what way?
Hold me accountable.
Hold you accountable, he said. The number one thing that I need from you, John, is to hold me accountable. Because what I know is that our motivation and our willpower over time will what? Will wane. It'll decrease. And it doesn't mean we give up on those things, because every day we work on it. My job right now is to help motivate you, right? To keep that plate spinning. To ask you the question is like, what do you want to accomplish? What are you fighting for, right? So that you're a person who is motivated. You're clear about what your purpose is, what your motivation is. That you're not in survival mode, you're in thriving mode. But just, I want you to just think about this. How many of you are actually being held accountable? How many of you are in some sort of form of accountability group or have an accountability contract? Okay, so most of you, right? Gabby's saying, yes, amen. She's like, she's got all hands up and feet up, toes are just wiggling. Here's the thing. I was having a conversation with myself last week, and I realized there were some things in my life that I wasn't doing that I wanted to do, that I used to do consistently, more consistently. So I said, well, I got to change that. So immediately what I did, Amelia, I went out and I hired a coach. I made a significant investment in myself to hire a coach to, number one, be held accountable. So I just want you to think about it. You wrote down what your goal is, your primary goal is for 2022 in real estate. Just imagine that if you were held accountable to exactly what it is that you already know that you need to do, what your results would be. Here's what I know. That whatever goal that you wrote down is, whatever it is, I know this for a fact, that if you will allow yourself to be held accountable to the process to achieve it, I guarantee you that you'll achieve it. How many want to actually achieve the goal that they wrote down? Then be held accountable to the process. Gang, I get it. Procrastination does pay. It pays off. When you decide today to not prospect, it pays off, because at least you avoid the fear of prospecting. But if you decide one day to take a powder and not go out and door knock, and instead go to the beach, well, I get it. It pays off. It pays off in the moment. But as I said, a day at the beach is not the same as owning the beach. One pays in the moment, the other one pays forever. It's residual. So how many are looking for the residual payoff? Then become more accountable. So the thing that I'm going to challenge you with is this. Take a look at what your goal is and ask yourself this question. Am I being held accountable to the process that it's going to take to achieve my goal? And if you're not, be honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm going to do it. And I can't imagine better accountability partners than the people in this room, right? And in addition to your significant other or others in your life who would be positively affected by you achieving your goal. And think about that. For example, you parents or grandparents, would your spouse or your children or grandchildren benefit from you being more disciplined and achieving your goal in the business of real estate? Yeah. Are they aware of how they would benefit? Have you actually had a conversation with them that this is my goal, if I achieve this amount of production and this is my income, this is what we can do. What would you like to do with the money? If we earn that amount of money, what would you like to do? Get them invested in the process. I've watched it over the years where people will let their spouse know or their kids know what it is they want to accomplish and ask them, if we achieve that sort of income, what would you like to do? What vacation would you like to go on? What kind of car would you like to enjoy? Where would you like to live next? Alexis, there you go.
Yeah.
So ask her, say, sweetie, which Lexus do you want? Go to the dealership and say, let's pick one out. And then on November 30th or December, whatever the date is, I commit to you, I'm going to buy you that car. But what I need from you is for you to hold me accountable every single day to what it's going to take to make certain that I deliver to you that car. So your job is to hold me accountable. My job is to do my job so that in December, I can buy you that Lexus. So I would challenge you to have that conversation with her. Go home today and say, I've got some great news. What's that? You're getting a brand new Lexus. I am? Yes, you are. And let me show you how you're going to do that. Because here's what I know, gang. How many of you love to have integrity? You would like to be known as a person who tells the truth, who commits to something and keeps their word? Well, then commit to somebody what you're going to do, put it in writing, and talk about what the benefit is to them, but then also the price that you will pay if you don't do your job. So there's the benefit for those around you, but there's also, if she doesn't get the Lexus, ultimately, I mean, to some extent, no skin off your back, although then you live with a woman who says, wait a minute, you didn't give me what it was that you promised me, mister, right? Yeah, you lied. That's exactly right. That is not good. That is not good. So just consider the power of being held accountable and what you can do, okay? There's no reason that any of you can't achieve your goal that you wrote down, but for the fact that you won't have the discipline to do what it takes. And we now know at this point clearly what it takes to have the discipline. Yes?
Yes.
What are the three things?
Purpose.
Purpose, in other words, be motivated. Number two,
Purpose.
willpower, and ultimately accountability. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Can
cool.
you repeat those three again so we can write them down?
Yes. Yeah. Number one, and they're not in any particular order. They're all important. Number one is to be motivated. In other words, be clear about your purpose, passion, and why. That's what motivation is. I'm motivated. I'm going to do it because of this. This is the thing that I want. This is what I want to become. Right? This is the life that I want. Your purpose, your passion, your why. What's my life all about? That's number one. Number two is willpower. Just the grit. Like, I'm just going to do this. And you all know what that's like. It's like at the end of the year, you say, I have New Year's resolution. I'm going to do this. And it works for a couple of weeks. And then you go back to the old habits because that's what's easiest, is what you know. And then the third thing is what? Accountability, being held accountable. Those are the three. Make sense? Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's finish it up with some closing affirmations.